All right. For example, Felix just mentioned the show of strength in France, that we're all together, solidarity. You had leaders from all the countries. No one was there from the United States. Certainly, the president or vice president or secretary of state could have made some time.
I mean, Mr.
Okay.
Holder. Mr.
Right.
Holder was
I agree.
right there. Holder was in Paris at the time, and he didn't go.
No, he was there for some conference.
It doesn't matter, but he was right there.
I know.
in Paris,
I'm just
yeah.
making a statement. That's all. I know he wasn't there to represent the United States. But and then Margaret Thatcher's funeral,
Nobody came.
nobody went.
Wow.
When the first photojournalist was beheaded, okay, he came on and gave a brief speech. All right, he had the country's ear, and then he went out and he played 9 holes of golf. Okay.
Right. I remember hearing about that in the news. Yeah, I remember that.
So he has made mistakes. And the credit to him is that he's fessed up. Okay, like even now he said somebody should have been there from the country. But why is it that somebody has to think about these things after the fact? Okay. If he's the leader of the free world, which he is, okay, people still look up to America, thank God. And the bottom line is somebody should have been there. I mean, he really would have been embarrassed if Hillary Clinton showed up or if President Clinton showed up, and it wouldn't be not considered in their purview to do that. She was Secretary of State. She had dealings with the French. Bill Clinton was the President of the United States. He wants to show solidarity, even if it's solidarity as part of his global initiative. He's spending his own money.
He was there?
No, I said if.
Nobody
I'm
was
saying
there.
how would Obama have felt if Bill and Hillary Clinton were there and he wasn't?
Well, it doesn't matter. Seems like everybody snubbed the French, which is
Well, but the problem is that the French, have let it be known that they like the American green, but they're not exactly lovers of some of the things that America does. My wife happened to be on a flight from New York to Chicago on Swiss Air because her brother worked for Swiss Air at the time. Or she was going to Montreal. No, she was going to Montreal. He was working in Montreal. And he made an announcement in English, and my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, happened to turn to the lady next to her and say, "Excuse me, did you happen to hear the last announcement?" And the woman was from Quebec, and she just happened to say, in perfect English, "I don't speak English." Okay, because the French don't. When you go to France, you are expected to at least make an attempt to speak French. Okay. Problem with Americans is that Americans think everybody should learn English. Okay. I feel that the more multilingual a person is, the better off they are. If you can go to a country and make at least an attempt to speak the language, they will respect you a lot more. Instead of having the arrogance to think that they're going to learn English in elementary school, but if you're going to France, you don't know French. If you're going to Spain, you don't know Spanish.
Okay, let me just read a couple of notes from the flycatch. We're falling behind.
Okay.
Okay. He says, flycatch, not mistakes, but intentional. You're supporting someone that is, by design, destroying our nation.
All right, he is definitely anti-Obama. Many people are anti-Obama.
Yeah.
I am. For a reason.
Okay, let's hear.
Well, I had a question for you, sir. A real question. I mean, my thing is, my personal belief is I believe in. Have you heard of Illuminati?
Yes.
Okay, I believe in that wholeheartedly. I don't believe in any religion. I think religion was created to create a fear-based dichotomy like what we have being created more and more every day. I just believe that Illuminati exists. I believe that it is stems from the devil himself, who I believe created currency to separate people. My view on Obama is just basically like everything I've seen him do is just lie and lie and lie and lie, and I really don't. I can't say I hate the guy because I don't view it like I honestly see him as a puppet. I don't know if you ever heard anyone say that. I don't view him as like a guy who really has power or influence. I just view him as a puppet because I think people should not be so naive to think that somebody's not pulling the strings behind our public icons who speak. I was just curious if you ever heard of Illuminati, if you ever looked into any of that.
Well, the Illuminati are the people who, I believe, was it part of? Michelangelo was a member of the Illuminati.
Probably right.
You go back into history; they point to many famous people: Galileo, anybody who questioned the church to a certain extent and the beliefs of the church. Okay, many of them were Illuminati. Okay, if that's the case, do you believe that Jesus was married and fathered a child?
I honestly don't have an answer for that. Let me say this real quick. When I use the word Illuminati, I don't stress the title Illuminati. I just stress that I think that because your topic today is about terrorism and these extremist things, and I think that, and I wanted to relate it to your topic, and basically my personal belief that a lot of people think I'm crazy for believing it. It's my belief, and the whole world kind of differs with me, and I really feel like evil, period, comes from the devil himself. I think that, and then they ask, well, do you believe in God? Well, I've actually come to the conclusion, and call me crazy, but I believe that God is the devil, and I can give a couple of points to back that up, factual points. He burns you in a fiery pit of hell if you don't follow his exact orders. The Vatican runs everything, and just like you said, whoever goes against the teachings of the church becomes a problem. And I don't know, it just makes sense to me. If you take the words good and evil and separate them, you can get God and devil. I think the word God is just a code. I think it's a code for what people fear, because I think that everybody only believes in Christianity or any religion because of fear. I think they believe it because they're afraid to go to hell. So if you take someone like me who's not afraid of that and embraces that out of empowerment and self-empowerment, then and I'm real against labels. Everybody, they immediately try to attach a label to it, and I hate labels because I think that those people created those labels to separate society. I don't know if any of this is making any sense to y'all, but it's a totally different belief that I've just come to. I don't push it on any.
If you go back to Genesis, if you go back to Adam and Eve, when, again, if you believe that God created the heavens and the earth and God created all things, that God gave specific instructions to Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge, okay?
Right.
Once man ate from the tree of knowledge, that's all of a sudden when you're told about the devil. Because the snake the snake was then cursed to crawl on its belly, which leads one to believe that before that time the snake walked on all fours or even upright like a devil, so to speak. That's the first mention of the devil. But then
can I interject something to that? That's real interesting you say that too, because it goes in line with my topic when I start my show tonight when I get off of here about the ignorance and the lack of knowledge, and I think that is directly related to the devil, because the lack of knowledge in these communities in any culture. I'm right next to Mexico right now. I got illegally arrested down here, went through attempted murder pretty much with a a dude who in a regular fight I would have kicked his ass, and I let him live. He cheap shot at me, threw someone in a door. Like, I basically lived my shit, you know what I mean? And I've just seen a lot of ignorance in a lot of cultures, and it's hard for me to relate to because I was raised, not to sound cocky or egotistical or anything, but my father was, UT law school graduate attorney. My grandfather was Supreme Court judge. Like, we're very knowledgeable people. So thus, I'm thinking, looking outside at the outside world, that people would have their mind a little tighter. And I just feel like knowledge is the key to everything. And that's why it would make sense and compare to do you get my connection to your, if you want to call it an analogy or euphemism, to when they eat the tree or the apple of knowledge, then the devil comes in. I think that's very interesting because I think, to me, knowledge is power. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that. No matter who you speak to, knowledge is power. All right? And that's why when you talk about the civil rights movement, when you talk about any kind of a positive movement, okay, the better educated you are, the more power or control over your own life you have, and you're not giving over control to somebody else. That's
a very good point. Yeah.
You question. If there's nothing else that you learn, it's that don't take anything on face value, and you could always ask why. The ultimate decider is always going to be you. Don't let somebody else make decisions for you. If you don't make decisions for yourself, somebody else will.
Right, that's
what
true.
It amounts to.
And that's very current because, I mean, everything you describe right there is me to a core. I'm as skeptical as they come and as independent as they come, and I was just raised that way. And I think that's real current because all of this ushering, I mean, to me, they're bringing in, this is what I talk about, but they're bringing in socialism to the United States and really to the world. The New World Order is real, and they're bringing it here, and it definitely comes from the devil, in my opinion. It is real. And all this Obamacare bullshit, excuse my language, but the Obamacare is to reach their hand in your pocket and take away your independence. I mean, it's the direct violation of all our civil rights. I'm not sure if you all would agree with me or are aware of that, but I mean, there's a lot of civil rights violations going on right now that are being painted as if they're not civil rights. Because the reason why I say that is that, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me ask you a question. You talk about socialism with a capital S like it's really very evil. If you look at England, if you look at Israel, okay.
Yeah, I mean a different. Yeah, let me clarify real quick. I mean, when I say socialism, everybody asks me that. I don't mean the socialism as in like the one you get taught in history class that it's a good idea at its core. I mean socialism as in Hitler killing Jews. That's what they're going to do to Americans. I'm making a prediction right now on your air. I guarantee you, they are going to do what they did to the Jews in the Holocaust to Americans and to the world if people don't wake up. I'm positive. My aunt is Carly Fiorina. She used to be the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. I know who sold their soul out to get where they're at, and I know what the agenda is. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask the question to you earlier on. It's hard for me to relate to people because I've seen so much in my life. I want people to wake up and not be so naive as to think that your government is so much on your side, and I can tell you, to give you my answer of why they don't show up for these funerals, a lot of these people, they're murdering. Your people in the CIA are who send young men like me off to die in wars that don't profit us, but profit them. I don't know if you'd agree with any of this, but it's just the way I see it. But go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Your aunt is highly thought of, and there's even been talk, although not recently, but I know when she appears on Sunday morning talk shows, there's always a mention of, is she thinking of presidential run, or possibly even another senatorial run,
Yeah, I don't have anything against her at all. A lot of people take it wrong when I say the straight up truth about her. I mean, I saw what my dad went through. To give you a little personal insight, my dad, I mean, she to me, I know her as family. So, and I'm really not here to dirt